Hey, fight fans. Time for another fight pick. This Saturday, tomorrow actually, there's going to be a big fight. Light heavyweight championship. David Benavidez, the Mexican monster, versus David Morrell. What's so great about this fight, and you really have to give credit, I believe, to David Benavidez for taking this fight. Both guys are young, late 20s. This is the way boxing should be ran. This is the way fighters need to act. I am very excited about this fight. Can't be happier that it's coming off like this. This is kind of a prelude to the Artur Beterbiev, Dmitry Bivol fight that's going to be taking place, their rematch that's going to be taking place on February 22nd, just a few weeks from now. This is kind of the Final Four version for light heavyweights. David Benavidez is the WBC interim light heavyweight champion. David Morrell, the WBA light heavyweight champion. David Benavidez, 28 years old. David Morrell, 27 years old. These are prime fighters fighting at the right time. What makes this fight so interesting, the styles are going to mesh together very well for a really good action-packed fight. David Benavidez has really, here in the last few fights, he has really started to put together a really good resume. Caleb Plant, Demetrius Andrade, and Vosdik for his debut in the light heavyweight division. Benavidez is putting it together, and I believe credit to him and his team for seeking out the best competition in fighting a guy like David Morrell. It's kind of pro versus amateur experience. Morrell really hasn't had that much experience in the pros, but he has a very, very extensive amateur background from the Cuban national team. And David Benavidez has kind of come up from the ground up, sparring with world champions at a very young age, being in the camp of Gennady Golovkin, Dmitry Bivol, you name it. David Benavidez has been there and done that. David Benavidez consequently has been Canelo Alvarez's mandatory defense for the last 3 years. It's a shame that he hasn't gotten that Canelo fight as of yet. The only reason that I can really surmise, I hate to say that Canelo is ducking that fight, but I believe a lot of it has to do with them both being Mexican, and consequently, if that fight happened, and if Canelo would happen to lose that fight, I don't know, maybe their brain trust thinks that the Latin fan base would switch. The Mexican fan base would switch. I don't know if that's a solid reason, but anyway, I hope if things play out that Benavidez does in fact get his chance at Canelo. It would be well deserved with his willingness to fight the top contenders, and this fight needs to be pushed. If Benavidez is successful against Morrell this Saturday, he needs that Benavidez fight. Legacy is important. Undefeated is important, but legacy is more important. Breaking down this fight, like I said, both fighters in the late 20s, pretty much for all intents and purposes at the peaks of their power. This is going to be an explosive fight. In fact, whenever I made my first handicap on this fight, I picked Benavidez to win, but with that being said, with the stylistic matchup, I thought, and I still do, the first few rounds of this fight, the first 6 rounds actually, are going to be hellacious for David Benavidez. Morrell has excellent footwork. He's fast enough to get up to the outside of Benavidez. Benavidez has a tendency to square up a little bit too much, and a sharpshooter like Morrell is going to find him with some very, very heavy shots in the early going. And Morrell has some very serious speed at light heavyweight. David Benavidez, if he is to win this fight, will have to persevere through the first 6 rounds. I can see Benavidez being dropped in the first 6 rounds, actually. But whenever I was first considering trying to handicap this fight, I thought that Benavidez would come on late and perhaps stop Morrell in the 10th to the 11th round. But, guys, I am switching my pick on this one. Both of these guys are very adaptable. Whenever David Benavidez went up and fought Gvozdyk from the Ukraine for his debut at light heavyweight, the performance was criticized by a lot of boxing observers, but I thought Benavidez showed a lot of good skill in that fight. He showed the ability to pressure, which is his hallmark, trademark way of fighting and just grinding people down. But he also showed an ability to box and box off the back foot. And he also showed a very good defense. And that is just some underrated aspects. And to David Benavidez's credit, his defense is a lot better than boxing fans give him credit for. Morrell is also a very adaptable fighter. Morrell has the ability to fight going forward or going backward, and his footwork is superior, his balance is superior. Morrell just puts himself in a better position to get off either his lead punches or his counter punches, and I think that's going to make a real difference in this fight. Like I said, the winner of this fight will likely get, hopefully, it has been spoken like if David Benavidez wins this fight, he would be the next fight for the Beterbiev Bivol winner. And that is a great scenario for boxing. Probably with that being said, Benavidez will be the A side. Not so much has been spoken of if David Morrell wins this fight. So I don't know if they would still steer him to the winner of Beterbiev Bivol or not, but I do hope so. I hope, like I said before, I hope this is kind of like a Final Four for the light heavyweights, winners fighting winners. Shoot, I'd even like to see the losers fighting the losers. This is just a very good scenario for boxing. And with that being said, the winners fighting the winners of this meet, Canelo Alvarez step up to the plate and fight the winner of this light heavyweight tournament. That would be the biggest fight in boxing. But getting back to handicapping this fight, honestly, I think this fight is very close. I think either man could win it. I think if David Benavidez is going to win this fight, he's going to have to go through a hellacious storm. Like I said, I think Morrell's going to hurt him early, and it's just going to be his tenacity and determination and conditioning that will get him through. Morrell hasn't really been tested. He hasn't had a gut check in the professional ranks. Benavidez has. And that experience is invaluable, and that experience is what gives a lot of fighters the win whenever, you know, the lungs are burning and the heart is pounding, and a good professional, a great professional like Benavidez knows how to win, and he's faced that adversity a lot more than Morrell has. Morrell is just a phenomenal physical talent. This is kind of like and the eye test versus the resume, you know, so to speak. I think Morrell puts Benavidez in trouble early, and Benavidez does come back, but I think Morrell will hold him off and win a 12-round unanimous decision. I think this is going to be a fantastic fight, and both of these guys are a credit for boxing for taking this fight. So anyway, that's my pick, and enjoy the fights, guys. It's going to be a good one.